December the 4th, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful, and it's time once again for your daily Torment reports. Sorry for the delay in getting started today. We are actually doing a couple of different things. We're broadcasting to YouTube Shorts now, and also I updated our timelines. So let me just go check to make sure that Shorts started. I can't tell if Shorts started or not. It doesn't look like it did. Maybe it did. Well, I guess we'll find out. Doesn't really tell me. Trying new things. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I can't tell. You guys will have to tell me. Maybe if somebody sees me on Shorts. Hopefully whatever it is that I'm doing doesn't break YouTube. You're supposed to be able to dual stream. You're supposed to be able to stream to both horizontal YouTube as well as vertical YouTube. We'll see how it goes. All right. Anyway, welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. On this channel, we follow the men who we believe are the two witnesses. And I know you may not agree because it is a rather bizarre claim. And I'm under no false impression that this is a bizarre claim. So who am I talking about? Talking about the men who are referred to in Zechariah 4 as the two anointed ones who stand before the Lord of the whole earth, providing oil to the menorah. I'm also talking about Revelation 11, the two anointed ones and the two candlesticks who are given power during a 1,260-day period of time. And during that time, they are allowed to control the rain. They burn their enemies down with fire, the ones who would intend to harm them or even try to kill them. And another notable thing, these two men torment the whole world, so much so that when the beast from the abyss rises up and kills them, they're left in the street for 3.5 days while the world rejoices over their death, which was hard to imagine that the world could do until the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and even some of my very own friends were celebrating that day. Boggles my mind how somebody can do that. How anybody can celebrate anyone's death. Blows my mind. But this is the world that we live in today. So I'm excited to show you. I updated my timeline here, and I wanted to show you what we got on it now. So let's see. We'll go here. So this is the old timeline, you may remember. And now if we progress here. So I've added down here to the bottom, if you'll see down here. So this is another version of the timeline. So at the top, I wish I could show you my mouse, but the way that I'm projecting this, it doesn't show you the mouse. Let me go see if there's a mouse option. Yeah, there's still no mouse option. So you'll just have to listen to me describe where it is I want you to look. Yeah, so down at the bottom, I've added the new timeline, so there's two different timelines here that we're observing. Both of them are anchored off of the Revelation 12, 1 and 2 sign that happened on September 23rd, 2017. If you look at the green text there off to the left, you can see it's highlighted green, Revelation 12 sign. That pretty much marks the far left of the top timeline. The one at the bottom is actually the seals opening. The seals are highlighted in yellow, the ones that have happened so far. So we have December 26, 2019, seal number 1. That was the beginning of COVID, going forth, conquering and to conquer. Seal number 2 opened on December 14th, 2020. That is seal number 2. That was when Biden was declared the president by the Electoral College. It was also the same day he was given Operation Warp Speed, which I believe is the sword that was given to the rider on the red horse. And the rider on the red horse was given power to take peace from the earth. And that's what the Biden administration did. It took peace from the earth because the prior administration was working to bring peace. Then you had the incoming administration. Biden administration did a very good job at taking peace from the earth. And here we find ourselves once again under the Trump administration where peace is coming back. So it is definitely well within reason to say that the Biden administration took peace from the earth. So I believe that's right. I think I'm justified in saying that's very likely seal number 2. It matches with the signs in heaven, which I'll show you those real quick after this. June 10th, 2021, seal number 3, often called the famine seal, which we learned was probably a wrong assumption or wrong interpretation because the signs in the heaven indicate that this was when the United States and the United Kingdom signed the New Atlantic Charter, because that's what it matched up with. So there were eclipses that happened in particular sections of the sky that matched the living creatures, that pointed to all of this stuff. Working on a video to explain this in more detail right now. You're just getting the quick overview before we get into our daily torment report. I just wanted to show you guys the new calendar stuff I added to the timelines here, so that I can refer to both of these as we watch. And then we had down at the bottom there on the left, you got October 14th, 2023. This was 1 week after the Al-Aqsa flood, when Hamas attacked Israel. On that terrible day was October 7th, 2023, which is a day which will live into infamy for Israel. That day is burned in their hearts and minds. Well, the day they responded was October 14th, 2023. And it just so happens that day was marked with an eclipse. And it was in the section of the sky ruled over by the lion, which is one of the living creatures. So yeah, so that brings us to where we currently are, very likely in seal number 4. Well, over here on the right side, you can see in orange, I've highlighted the candidates for seal 5, 6, and 7. So you've got February 17th, 2026. Seems like a good day for seal number 5. You've got August 12th, 2026. Seems like a good day for seal number 6 candidates. And then below that, you've got October 2nd, 2027, which is a good candidate for seal number 7. And then I've also added in all the different days that seem like they could match the 1,260 days. Now, I've been counting, so if you see the counts in our title on our videos here, that's the very last one. So that's the one that I've been basing the count on, just for lack of information. Got to pick something. So what that is counting from the start of when Donald Trump and Elon Musk started working together, and the first day that Donald Trump took office. So that was January 20th, 2025. 1,260 days from that date is July 3rd, 2028. And what's interesting, and I don't try to manipulate the data, I just record the data and see what we can glean from it. What's interesting is it's a year after seal number 7. So may or may not be right. But you know what's interesting about these seals is they seem to mark events that we're meant to see, or to mark that we're meant to be aware of. So just judging from the first 4 seals, which it's interesting that they have 4 living creatures calling attention to them, and the last 3 don't have living creatures calling attention to them. Anyway, so here is a clearer image of the timeline. So this is a little bit better image. You can see in the top left here, I've got seal number 1, below that seal number 2, below that seal number 3, and then down in the yellow, you've got seal number 4. And then going back up on the right side, seal number 5, which it parallels seal number 3. And this is why I'm adding this timeline, is because it mirrors. These eclipses mirror what the first ones, which is I'm speculating is why there's only 4 living creatures, is to get our attention. Once you know the first half, you can infer the second half because of the chiastic structure, the chiastic nature, or the mirror image nature of the events. And this does a pretty good job of illustrating that. So going up the right side, you've got February 17th, 2026, August 12th, 2026, and August 2nd, 2027 for seal number 7. And then I've got 2026 highlighted here because that would be a time to not want to be on the earth. If there's going to be any escape or any kind of, escape event like getting on in a Noah's Ark of some kind, that would be the day you would want that to happen by, because the seal number between seal number 6 and seal number 7 are when the really bad things happen. That's when, there's permission allowed to hurt the earth and kill like a quarter of the population, and then again a third of the population. Yeah. So that's hopefully, if there's any kind of rapture event, whether it be supernatural or just literally getting on some kind of space vessel, say Jesus shows up in a spaceship and says, "Hey, anybody who wants to get off the planet before God's wrath or my wrath," that would be the day you'd want that to happen. So I have updated those finally. I've been talking about it forever, and I've been wanting to show you guys those. So now we have those to refer to, and I'll probably be putting these together in a like a PDF, so you guys can look at these and study them yourself. But for now, let's jump back over to our daily torment report and have a look at what Donald Trump and Elon Musk have been up to. All right. So this is pretty sweet. I'm going to just start at the top and go down because he posted a lot today, and I didn't have a chance to really go through it all and try and find the bottom. So let's hope today is not like Monday, where he had posted so many that I still have not gotten through everything that he posted on Monday. I don't think it is, but we'll find out. Alrighty. What do we say here? The great family of Andrew Wolf, our wonderful National Guardsman who was badly injured protecting the Capitol of the United States of America. He is in the process of healing. His parents, brother, and all of his friends are praying. I just met them in the Oval Office. They are fantastic American patriots. There you go. That's cool. Very cool. Who we have here? Is that Al Sharpton? He's a singer. Can't remember his name. I don't know all these faces. How come it's not labeled? What is this? This is an ad? I think that's an ad. Yeah, sponsored. All right. Donald Trump talks with Andy Warhol as he holds the bridle of a polo pony in November 1983. Trump was often seen at Studio 54, the infamous New York celebrity club. There you go. Come on. And what is this? Opinion? My day hitting golf balls at the driving range with Trump revealed the difference between the presidents. What is this about? During his massive rally in Doral, Florida, former President Donald J. Trump challenged President Joe Biden to an 18-hole match at the famed Blue Monster course at Trump National Doral. Trump then predicted that it would be one of the most watched golf matches in history, adding to the buzz. Trump offered to give Biden 10 strokes per 9 holes, over 20 strokes for the round. Anyone who even remotely follows golf knows 20 strokes is a massive gift to an opponent. To top off the challenge, a former president offered to donate $1 million to the charity of Biden's choice should the sitting president beat him. Trump challenges Biden to golf match, says he'll give $1 million. All right, of course, to win the money, Biden would have to first accept the challenge. Trump then predicted Biden would decline the challenge, and he did decline. Oh. All right, this is just all about golf. Spokesman replied that Biden doesn't have time. He's too busy sleeping and eating ice cream to participate in the golf challenge as he's too busy. Nothing compared to Donald Trump. I mean, have you seen a day in the life of Donald Trump in the office? Up at 5, busy every 10 minutes. Yeesh, something new every 10 minutes. This focus on presidential golf was ignited during the June 27 CNN debate between Trump and Biden. During the debate, Trump spoke of his stamina and mentioned, I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it. Biden then replied that he would be happy to have a driving contest with the former president, but apparently not anymore. Leaving politics aside, sadly, almost impossible to do these days in our hyperpolarized times. As a golfer and as one who follows the game quite closely, Trump's statement as it pertained to stamina and thinking struck me as worthy and quite relevant. As much the day after the debate, I reached out to his office. A few days later, I was invited by Trump to his course in Jupiter, Florida, to chat about golf and then hit the driving range together. We did so on Wednesday, July 10th, and it was a remarkable experience. The driving display the former president put on was jaw-dropping amazing. It simply was. Not only was he able to stripe his drives down the middle at will, but shape them left and right, all while consistently hitting them 270 yards and longer. Wow. As was written in Golf Digest several years back, Trump is a player. Not only do exceptional golfers know one when they see one, but also note swing patterns. Huh. Didn't know this. I mean, I knew he was a golf player, and I knew he was quite good. Really didn't know the stuff about how this went down with Biden. All right, let's see. Golf Digest also reported that Trump has similarities in the way he moves a golf club to Bobby Jones and Sam Snead to put his drive. Okay, so this is just into more golfy details we don't really need to know. What about this last page? All right. Okay, well, cool. Good to know. This is an article from Fox News like, oh, hey, it's the same picture. Did he label it? So in the good old days, long before Reverend Al Sharpton had massive stomach surgery, he would do anything to be with me. But he has to be, faithful to the radical left in order to keep his job as a television commentator for NBC. Also in the group is the great James Brown. That's who I was thinking of. Man, I haven't thought about him in a long time. I knew them all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Huh. Well, there you go. Absolutely bonkers story about Somalian immigrant communities in Minnesota. Overdiagnosing their own kids with autism so that they can funnel billions of Medicaid dollars back to terrorist cells in Somalia. In a press release announcing the indictment, the U.S. Attorney's Office made clear that the alleged autism fraud scheme extended to a wide network of people. To drive up enrollment, Hassan and her partners paid monthly cash kickback payments to the parents of children who enrolled. The release read, these kickback payments ranged from approximately $300 to $1,500 per month per child. The amount of these payments was contingent upon the services DHS authorized a child to receive. The higher the authorization, the higher the kickback. Often parents threatened to leave and take their children to other autism centers if they did not get paid higher kickbacks. Much like the HSS program, autism claims to Medicaid in Minnesota have skyrocketed in recent years from $3 million in 2018 to $54 million in 2019. $77 million in 2020, wow, they just kept take more. $183 million in 2021, $279 million in 2022, almost $400 million in 2023. Meantime, the number of autism providers in the state spiked from 41 to 328 over the same period, with many in the Somali community establishing their own autism treatment centers, citing the need for culturally appropriate programming. By the time the fraud scheme was exposed, 1 in 16 Somali 4-year-olds in the state had reportedly been diagnosed with autism. Of course, a rate more than triple the state average. So this is, and I have new reporting on America's Somali fraud rings, which have stolen billions in taxpayer funds and sent some to Islamic terrorists back home. Good Lord. No wonder why inflation went so bonkers during the Biden administration, during that 4-year period of those first 4 seals being opened up. Just because I said seal number 3 was often associated with inflation, the reason I said that is because if you actually read the text from Revelation, it's not associated with just seal number 3. That's the mistake that people make when they're looking at the seals in the book of Revelation, chapter 6, is they assume that when it says in Revelation 6:6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 living creatures saying, a measure of wheat for a denarius, 3 measures of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. That was in the midst of the 4 living creatures. It was not specific to seal number 3. Seal number 3 is a rider on the black horse holding a pair of holding a yoke, actually, in the Greek. That's another thing that causes the misunderstanding, is the rider on the black horse is holding a yoke. He's not holding an actual balance. I think the assumption, and probably the reason for the interpretation, is when you have in Revelation 6 talking about a measure of wheat and a measure of barley, that when it says a yoke, the interpreter or the translator was probably assuming that the yoke meant the yoke of a balance, because balances do have yokes. It's the top part that holds the 2 different scales. But there's a couple of problems. Number 1, it says yoke. It doesn't say balance. It says yoke, and you can even see from how the word is used in other places in the New Testament that it means yoke. Jesus said, "My yoke is easy, my burden is light." Same word, yoke. And a yoke is what is used to combine the strength of 2 beasts. So it makes more sense that the seal number 3 was the yoking together of the United States and the United Kingdom when they signed the New Atlantic Charter. And also, wheat and barley are measured by volume, not by weight. I mean, I guess you could measure wheat and barley by weight, but you would have to have a scale. You'd have to have scales specifically, designed for, cupping the material, because wheat and barley are loose. So, think of it this way: when you measure flour, do you get out a scale or do you get a cup? It's just so much easier to measure it by volume, by just getting a cup of flour, a cup of, corn. So there's a couple of things, but through the years, people have assumed that because of the measure of wheat and barley, and because of the word interpreted scales, that it means that seal number 3 was specifically inflation. It's not. It seems to be the yoking together of the United States and the United Kingdom. Interesting, huh? All right, let's keep going here. A century ago, President Calvin Coolidge signed into law the Immigration Act of 1924. He stated plainly, new arrivals should be limited to our own capacity to absorb them. America must be kept American. For this purpose, it is now necessary to enact a policy of restricted immigration. The 1924 Act passed the House and the Senate with overwhelming support. Democrats and Republicans agreed. The bill introduced tight immigration quotas, new visa requirements, the Border Patrol, and outright banned immigrants from certain countries that we viewed as incompatible with our culture. It dramatically reduced the number of people coming into the country and provided an opportunity for the recent Great Wave of immigrants to assimilate. By the 1940s and 1950s, American society thrived with a booming economy, rising middle class, common culture, and limited immigration. The act was in place until 1965. Since then, we have experienced decades of historic immigration, both legal and illegal. Today, we have higher levels of foreign born than the early 1900s by both raw numbers and percentage of population. This mass immigration has also included vastly different cultures than the mostly Europeans we accepted then. It's obvious that we once again need to make a national policy shift, and it should be bipartisan. It's time for another immigration act. Huh. He's got a little meme there. You got to funnel the people. You got a lot of people wanting to come in, and you want the ones who want to be here and contribute to the culture, not destroy us from within, which is called an invasion. I agree. Cool. I hope they pass it. That's from Geiger Capital, and Trump reposted that. All right. This isn't the streets of Mexico. This is my state, North Carolina. President Trump was absolutely right. We've been invaded. Oh, wow. You know what? I was following Portland and Chicago there for a little while. It seems as though there are other states who might be on the rise of conflict. Was that just racing? That wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought that was going to be way worse. I thought it was going to be more protests. Are they protesting? Maybe this is a protest. I can't tell if this is a protest or a drag racing. Is this somebody who's just not going to be... It's hard to tell. I can't tell if this is drag racing or a protest. I'm inclined to think it's a protest because they're holding signs, but they also hold signs at drag races. I don't know. So where was this again? This was North Carolina. This isn't the streets of Mexico. It's North Carolina. Okay. I don't know. These people, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out if there's stuff happening elsewhere. All right, from Eric Doherty. Now, Stephen Miller. What am I thankful for this Thanksgiving? I praise God every day that Donald Trump is our president. Amen. And we've gone from 30% inflation, 20 million illegals, unlimited refugees, violent crime in our cities, to security in our cities, no more illegals, no more refugees, and finally a country that puts American citizens first. Agreed, Stephen Miller. I wouldn't go so far as to say 30% inflation. I think the official number is actually 9% inflation. 30% inflation is based more on different statistics. So take which one as you will. I'll stick with the Bible that says there's inflation. In the midst of the four living creatures, I heard a measure of wheat for a denarius, three measures of barley, wait a minute. Let's see, a measure of wheat for a denarius, three measures of barley for a denarius. Is that indicative? I haven't looked up that word measure. I wonder if that's indicative of the by volume. Anyway, sorry, I'm distracted. 20 million illegals. I think there's a lot more. Unlimited refugees, violent crimes in our cities. That is true. 2, security in our cities. Not entirely true. Portland is not secure. We won't go down there, I'll tell you that. And if we do, we're watching our backs. No more illegals. That's not entirely true. No more refugees. ICE is working hard and getting people out, that's for sure. But I don't think the job is done. There's still a lot more illegals, a lot more refugees to get out, and still a lot more work needs to be done to secure our cities. But I get what he's saying. Yeah.
What I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving, I praise God every day that Donald Trump is our president, and we've gone from 30% inflation, 20 million illegals, unlimited refugees, violent crime in our cities, to security in our cities, no more illegals, no more refugees, and finally a country that puts American citizens first.
Okay, so there's a video that goes with that. So I'm reading your post here, Fury. So this is good information. Depends on if you are a baker. If you're a baker, you are measuring grams, not cups. You are not using imperial measurements. If you are measuring for industrial weights and it is barley, you are not measuring pounds, you are measuring bushels. Good point. Flour is refined barley and is measured by weight, as in pounds or grams. So flour is not the same as the raw ingredients. Makes sense. It is not the same as barley or any other raw grain. That looks like a drag race. Yeah. But then again, this is 2025, not 1970. Could be a protest. Yes, all good points. Yeah, thank you. And that's the thing, is just like, it could be either. I'm inclined to lean towards the rider on the black horse was holding a yoke, indicating a contract between two beasts, because that's what a yoke does, is it combines the strength of two beasts. Especially since Revelation 6:6 is prefaced with the phrase "in the midst of the four living creatures," which to me indicates that the inflation is the result of the all four events. So the four living creatures, and I think it's further evidenced by the fact that it's going down now that we're exiting seal number 4. What we appear to be leaving seal number 4. And inflation, by the way they count it, it's hard to know if it really is or not. It's hard to know who to believe. But according to the official statistics, Donald Trump is constantly saying inflation is down to like 2%, something like that. So based on that, I think that the right way of looking at that is really, it doesn't really matter if it was by measure or by weight or by volume. But I take your point. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, let's see. Extreme. Let's see. The measure refers to a conix, a dry measure that held about 1 quart or 1 liter volume. The quantity of wheat cost a denarius, which was a common day's wage. Significant. This pricing signals extreme inflation and famine conditions, where a person's entire day's pay only buys enough wheat to survive for 1 day. Yeah, and that's why we often will say a penny. We'll say, instead of a denarius, we'll say a penny, because that was the common teaching, is that the expectation based on that interpretation is that inflation would get so bad that you would have to work an entire day to eat. And I would argue that we got there, that inflation was definitely there, based on, if you take into account everything that happened, because there was a lot of people who were homeless, a lot of people who, are starving on the streets. There's a lot of people living in tents that are on the corners begging. But I don't know. I mean, that's the best information that we have. It's hard to apply one interpretation to a planet with 9 billion people, because if your expectation is that something is going to apply equally to everybody, you may dismiss the things that are actually happening. I mean, look at all the fraud with SNAP benefits. I mean, you have so many, food is so expensive that you have people committing fraud in order to eat. Does that count? So get my point. But I get what you're saying. I get, if you, and that's the thing with the, that's one of the things with the scripture, is you have to decide, when you're reading it, do you take it to be literal or figurative? Does it have to match exactly, or is it trying to convey a concept? Because when the when the imagery was given to John, I don't think that it was communicated to him like the literal. I don't think it was like a TV showing literal images of the future. Like, it was converted into imagery that he would understand during his day and age. You know what I mean? So it's just like when it talks about the living creatures, the lion, the calf, the face of a man, and the flying eagle. It didn't use the term constellation or star alignment. It just used the pictograph that would lead someone to look at Leo as a lion, Taurus as a calf, Ophiuchus as the face of a man, and Aquila as the flying eagle. Basically, it was part, and that was part of it being hidden too, I believe. So, I mean, you can interpret it both ways, and I get that. Um, I try to be as literal as I can whenever possible. For instance, like the two witnesses breathing fire. I would love it if two guys showed up and they were breathing fire. This channel's content would change to focusing on them, because I would prefer the literal in that particular case. If they could breathe fire and command the weather, to rain one day and be dry the next, that would be a lot more obvious as to who the two witnesses are. But given all of the other evidence that indicates that we're in that end time, we're forced to consider, okay, maybe it's not literal, maybe it was figurative. For instance, maybe fire from their mouth towards anyone who would harm them could be a strong, sometimes considered vulgar or mean language, mean tweets. Trump is often calling people stupid and idiots and fake news, and he's not very nice to people sometimes, especially people he has no respect for. Likewise, um, not controlling the rain and weather, as far as I know. So, is that indicative of putting an end to the reign of lies? So, given it's interesting how, I mean, like, how often do you live through prophecy being fulfilled? This is an opportunity where everybody recognizing where we are in the end times should be reevaluating their interpretations. Like, it's not a time to insist that you're right. And I see that a lot. I see a lot of people who think they're so right about their interpretation or their belief that they're quite literally lying. And they're saying that they're talking to Jesus. They're saying that they're having dreams. They're saying that they're receiving special information because they're attempting to convey their importance over somebody else, why you should believe them, and their interpretation, and it's proving them to be liars. Brandon Biggs, he has said so many things that Jesus gave him, that dreams and visions that he has that have not come true. And unless you watch him very closely, the stuff that he leaves online is only the stuff that seems to come true. But he has given hundreds, if not thousands, of lies. I mean, and there's a lot of people. I just ran into another guy who is quite literally writing a book to where he's correlating information from different sources and he's presenting it as though Jesus is telling him. And people are getting very clever to try and get, approval and clout, to be certified as prophets. It's a growing problem. One of the reasons that's leading me to believe that the beast that or the dragon that's being worshipped right now, as we're seeing all this stuff, is it's like that the worst of mankind, the thief cometh not before to steal, kill, and destroy. That is being elevated right now. I mean, like, so many people are stealing, killing, and destroying right now across the board. It's This time is really exposing people for who they really are. And there's people who, with the best intentions, they recognize that we're in the end times, and they want to spread the gospel and speak the truth, but that serpent Satan nature gets the best of them to where they want to be the center of attention. It's that narcissistic mentality to where it's just like, look at me. I'm coming in the name of Jesus. I'm the one who's I'm the one who's anointed. Listen to me. And that could be forgiven if they weren't leading people astray, if they weren't teaching doctrines that are lies. Because that same mentality leads towards the doctrines that they teach, which is one of the reasons why I think the mark of the beast is a doctrine. It's just like people, if you believe something so much, and that it's in your forehead, that it affects your actions. So you've taken a seal in your forehead and in your right hand, and it causes you to steal, kill, and destroy. You've taken the mark of the beast. But by the time you get to that point, you're just not going to change. You would follow that belief to your grave. Wow, that was quite a mouthful. All right, the measure for, let's see, anything else? This is the first year in 10 years that we haven't had a hurricane make a direct hit on the USA. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's continue on with these. It's the same thing. Looks like a double post. Look at this room. We ain't going anywhere. She is a walking advertisement for immigration restriction. Rep. Rashida Tlaib calls for Hamas supporters to mobilize and take over America. Ooh. Why is she not in prison? I'm going to try to skip the part where she curses.
Motherfuckers!
Oh, I missed it.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Political structures that I have to work in, that we all are surrounded by, was built on slavery and genocide and rape and oppression. Real change doesn't come from the cowards and warmongers in Congress. It comes from the streets. It comes from all of us mobilizing and seizing the power to resist and fight back. Gaza is the compass in this country.
This is
now
a
we're in
congresswoman.
Congress, and we're every corner of the United States.
Wow. Yeah. See, I believe that beast, for the second beast of Revelation, is going to be, we're going to move away from the democratic government control over the planet to another kind of kingdom. I'm not sure what kingdom that's going to be. It could be Islamic. It could also be this Chrislam, which is a combination of Christian and Islam, which would be pushed by the Roman Catholic Church. I don't know. It could go either or. Again, this is one of the reasons why I think the mark of the beast is doctrinal. We're moving into a period of time to where you're going to be forced to believe one way or another. And to me, it seems as though it's part of the harvest. We're separating the wheat from the tares. If you don't have the Father's name in your forehead, you're a tare. God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, is the true creator. He is the source of truth. He cannot lie. He is light. There is no darkness in him. The beast is darkness. The doctrines, he is a liar. He was a murderer from the beginning. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So if you're part of that group, you're part of the tares. And it seems as though that kind of mentality is on the rise. They are the enemies from within that we took an oath to defend against. Amen, Fury. Amen. We have two options: deport every single third world migrant, illegal alien, and America-hating visa holder, or surrender our nation the way the United Kingdom have and watch your societies collapse in the coming years. Interesting, the connection of the United States and the United Kingdom, based especially on the fact that the U.S. and the U.K. yoked together with the New Atlantic Charter. I don't think we've come to fully realize the effect of that yoke. The fact that a yoke combines two beasts together leads me to believe that it has something to do with the beast from the land in Revelation 13. Probably a combination of the United States and the United Kingdom. Two horns, because that beast from the land has two horns. Could that be countries? I don't know. Heads seems to be countries. So the first beast from the sea, 7 heads, 10 horns. The heads seem to be countries. The horns seems to be positions of power. So it doesn't quite fit exactly. I'm still kind of trying to figure that one out myself. All right, it's time to revoke the legal status of Afghanis, even the ones who thought we could trust. The most are extremely dangerous. Send them home. Agreed. This is why we elected Trump. This is why he'll go down as one of the most consequential presidents in American history. With Washington and Lincoln, Trump is on a mission to save America and the rest from the savages who are trying to destroy us. Hand of God. Oh, he reposted a very happy Thanksgiving. So this is from 6 days ago. Very happy Thanksgiving salutation to all of our great American citizens and patriots who have been so nice in allowing our country to be oh, this was the sarcastic posts. Patriots who have been so nice in allowing our country to be divided, disrupted, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at, along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world for being politically correct and just plain stupid. Fire from the mouth. When it comes to immigration, the official United States foreign population stands at 53 million people from the census, most of which are on welfare from failed nations or from prisons. I wonder if that has anything to do with the day's wage. Mental institutions, gangs, or drug cartels, they and their children are supported through massive payments from patriotic American citizens who, because of their beautiful hearts, do not want to openly complain or cause trouble in any way, shape, or form. They put up with what has happened to our country, but it is eating them alive to do so. A migrant earning $30,000 with a green card will get roughly $50,000 a year in benefits for their family. The real migrant population is much higher. The refugee burden is the leading cause of social dysfunction in America, something that did not exist after World War II. Failed schools, high crime, urban decay, overcrowded hospitals, housing shortages, and large deficits, etc. As an example, hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota. Somalian gangs are roving the streets looking for prey as our wonderful people stay locked in their apartments and houses, hoping against hope that they will be left alone. The seriously retarded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing, either through fear, incompetence, or both, while the worst congressmen women in our country, Ilhan Omar, always wrapped in her swaddling hijab, and who probably came into the USA illegally in that you are not allowed to marry your brother, does nothing but hatefully complain about our country, its constitution, and how badly she is treated when her place of origin is a decadent, backward, and crime-ridden nation, which is essentially not even a country for lack of government, military, police, schools. Fire from the mouth. I don't understand how people can't see what they just, you know what it is? This idea that Donald Trump is the Antichrist prevents people from seeing him as one of the two witnesses. I saw this plain as day, not yesterday, the day before yesterday. I was listening to somebody on YouTube, the guy who's writing a book that he says Jesus is giving him. He outright, in his book, he outright says that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. And he's not the only person who thinks that. He's also saying that there's going to be a fake alien invasion, which is another narrative that I've been hearing a lot of. Those two things, it's like I imagine, and I could be wrong about this, but just knowing from myself, when I think something is evil, I avoid it. I imagine that these people who think that Donald Trump is evil refuse to look at what he's saying and refuse to hear anything that he says. That's why they think that he's a pedophile, a rapist, and a convict, because that's who they listen to. That's who these people listen to, is they listen to the ones who hate him also and what they say about them, and none of them want to push through that and actually hear what it is that he's actually saying. But anyone who actually listens to him and watches him and sees that he actually cares for our country and he's confronting evil, he's speaking truth, which is what a prophet does. A prophet speaks truth in the face of opposition. A prophet speaks truth and confronts. So what they do is they divide and establish people. That's what a prophet does. A prophet will divide the good from the bad and will establish the godly people. That's what a prophet does. One of the things that they do. Of course, also, prophets do also foretell the future. They can, where that information comes from God, which is what Jesus did. Jesus was a prophet as well. He established people and divided people. Hell, he's really going to divide people when he comes back. I tell you what. But, he said that he received the knowledge of the future from his Father, and he gave it to his disciples so that when it begins to come to pass, you will believe. But yeah, it boggles my mind that people won't listen to him and see what it is that he's trying to do. And the same goes for Elon Musk as well. Elon is less blatant. Elon is a little bit more measured in the way that he responds and treats people, a little bit less fire, but still very much prophetic. All right, moving on. Let's see. They are the enemies from within that we took. Yeah, so she is full of treasonous ideas. I can say I tried. Good luck. Hey, Paul. There is a deeper one. There's a deeper one than Chrislam. It coexists, which thinks all religions can coexist, but only if they each meld into a unity of sorts. This melding is called syncretism. People like Matt Walsh are posting on X that the hijab is admirably modest dress for women, and of course drawing a lot of flashback on it. You think someone is Christian, and then they start pushing for women to wear clothing that represents the most oppressed women in the world. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, light does not mix with darkness. There's no darkness in light. First Lady of Technology, Melania Trump, pioneers FLOTUS book with global enthusiasm. I hope it goes better than the first time. She got a lot of flack last time she tried. I think she tried to write a book the first administration too, if I'm not mistaken. It's ignore failing New York Times. Trump remains most accessible, energetic president in history. Agreed. I mean, he's visible every single day. Which is one of the reasons why I believe he's one of the two witnesses. The fact that he's visible every single day is kind of one of the few attributes that we know about the two witnesses. The prophecy for 1,260 day implies that they're in the face of the public for 3.5 years. So, check. Hooray for Manhattan U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton and his war against gangs. Netanyahu submits a request to President Herzog for a pardon. I'm kind of curious about this. A short while ago, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu submitted a request for a pardon to President Isaac Herzog. The request was submitted to the legal department of the office of the president by the prime minister's lawyer, Amit Haddad. In his request, Netanyahu wrote, "In recent years, tensions and disputes have increased between parts of the people and between the various state authorities. I am aware that the proceedings in my case have become a focus of fierce debate and bear broad public and ethical responsibility out of an understanding of the implications of all the events as a result. And despite my personal interest in conducting the trial and proving my innocence until I am fully acquitted, I believe that the public interest dictates otherwise. Out of a public responsibility as prime minister to try and bring about reconciliation between the parts of the people, I have no doubt that the end of the trial will help to reduce the intensity of the flames in the debate that has risen around it." Netanyahu added, "In accordance with the guidelines and procedures, the request is currently being transferred to the Pardons Department in the Ministry of Justice, which will gather the opinions of all the relevant authorities in the Ministry of Justice. Following this, their opinions will be transferred to the legal advisor in the office of the president and her team to formulate an additional opinion for the president. Wow. Not a fast-moving situation over there. The office of the president stated that Herzog is aware that this is an extraordinary request which carries with it significant implications. After receiving all of the relevant opinions, the president will respond and sincerely consider the request. The request consists of 2 documents, a detailed letter signed by the prime minister's lawyer and a letter signed by the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Given the importance of the extraordinary request and its implications, the documents are being released for publication. Earlier this month, President Herzog received a signed official letter from U.S. President Donald Trump in which Trump called on Herzog to consider granting a pardon to Prime Minister Netanyahu. While I absolutely respect the independence of the Israeli justice system and its requirements, I believe that this case against Bibi, who has fought alongside me for a long time, including against the very tough adversary of Israel, Iran, is a political, unjustified prosecution, Trump wrote. That's it? Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I agree. I hope they grant the pardon. You know, I really want I really wanted Netanyahu to be one of the 2 witnesses. He just, for the very few attributes, he fits 0 of them, other than the fact that he torments people. I mean, he does definitely torment people, but not nearly to the degree that Elon Musk does. No, people naturally lump together Donald Trump and Elon Musk because they torment them the most. But yeah, I mean, I have very little doubt about Elon Musk now. He was the one that I was kind of on edge about, but just over time, evidence has proven him out to be, seems to be a truth seeker, a truth teller, regardless of what people think. And both of them are responsible. So I would argue that both of them are responsible for our freedoms today. If Elon Musk didn't buy Twitter, and didn't fight for freedom and truth, which is a big thing too, I don't think I would be on the air. I don't think anybody who's on YouTube or on social media, spreading the gospel and doing the work of the Lord, planting seeds, harvesting until He returns. I don't think any of us would be able to do that, given the trajectory that we were heading towards with the cancel culture. He put a hard stop on that. So I think that's probably a good indicator that there could be considered the 2 olive trees. So, all right. You think someone is a Christian and then they start, okay, why can't we literally do like in the book of Elijah and have a God versus God call on? Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. Build up your pillar, dose it with water, and see which God takes the offering, huh? He got a lot of protests from people in Israel over it. One of the requirements for a pardon is he needs to say he is guilty, and he refuses to do so. That's probably why they're calling it an extraordinary situation. I noticed that terminology used several times. There was an extraordinary situation. Well, got to respect that. I tell you, I'm not like a legal expert or anything like that, but a lot of times in court cases, just because you enter a plea of guilty doesn't actually mean that you're guilty. If I were ever in that situation and I was advised to take a plea of guilty, even though I didn't feel that I was guilty, doesn't matter what it was. Could be anything. I would have a hard time saying that because in my mind it's lying. But unfortunately, that is how the legal system works. Is that's what they need for their documentation. Is they need to enter a plea of guilty, and then they can consider reducing consequences, no consequences, stuff like that. So I could see from that perspective that if one of the requirements is that he admits guilt, he may not want to because he doesn't feel that he is. So I get that. I can empathize with that. All right, I think these are endorsements. It is my honor to endorse MAGA warrior Trevor Neals, who is running to represent incredible people of Texas 22nd Congressional District. Congressman Judge Carter is a fantastic representative. Congress Randy Weber is doing a great job. Michael Cloud. Okay, so if you're voting and you want to know who Trump's endorsements are, he's got a bunch of them here. I'm not going to read them. I'm dealing with the poisoning of America. Okay, true. Turnberry in Scotland, #1 rated in the world. Oh, is this one of his golf courses? There's an ad. Let's see. Great. Our elections are crooked and rigged. The voters know it. Must bring integrity back to voting. Start with voter ID. Indeed. Great job by wonderful Tricia McLaughlin, DHS Assistant Secretary on the Sean Hannity Show. Many illegals from around our nation charged with serious crimes this week. Tricia really knows her stuff. All right, we are done with Donald Trump. That is the end of his posts. He did some other stuff, but I think we covered pretty well. He was on the White House. Let's I guess we could go see what was. Oops. No, it's whitehouse.gov, isn't it? Oh, you know what I'm doing? Doing this wrong. It's faster to go this way. White House. There you go. Oh yeah, they did the holiday thingy. Yeah, this.
Wow. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, America. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, America. Welcome to the 103rd National Christmas Tree Lighting. This is so exciting, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Hello, everybody. We are just a few steps away from the world's most famous house, getting ready to light up the world's most famous tree, and you can't top that.
You cannot top that. I'm so thrilled to be here with you, Gabby, at the White House and President's Park, where for over 100 years, this uniquely American tradition has brought our country together.
And as we come together tonight, it's important to remember those who can't be here with us. So let's give a special moment of deep appreciation to all of our men and women in uniform serving this great nation around the world. And may they feel our gratitude for all that they give.
Absolutely. That's right. We are so thankful. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It is beautiful, not too cold. There's no wind. We don't have to wear hats or anything. This is a special time, and Melania and I are thrilled to wish everyone here tonight and Americans all across this land a very, very Merry Christmas. So is everybody ready to light the beautiful Christmas tree? Are you ready? So the First Lady is going to do the honors, and we're going to do a countdown. We'll go from 5 to 0, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Aww.
Good job, honey.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Melania. And it's a beautiful job they did on creating that tree. It's a beauty. And let me also recognize Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha, as well as Secretaries Scott Bessent, Pete Hegseth, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Secretaries Doug Burgum and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Administrator Kelly Loeffler, and their wonderful families are doing a fantastic job. And I see out in the audience the great one, Wayne Gretzky and Janet. Thank you very much, Wayne, for being here.
Wow.
He's used to this kind of weather. Let's also express our gratitude to the great people of the National Park Service. They're incredible, the job they've done, as well as the unbelievable performers here tonight. You're going to see some incredible performers, and we have in the audience the Beach Boys. They're great. During this holy season, Christians everywhere rejoice at the miracle in Bethlehem more than 2,000 years ago, when the Son of God, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, came down from heaven to be with us. You're right. Full of grace and truth, he brought the gift of God's love into the world and the promise of salvation for every person and every nation. And we just settled another war today. You saw that with
Well, that's right.
Rwanda and the Congo. It's been going on for 34 years. Millions of people killed. Could be 20 million. They don't know what the number is, and we just settled it today. That was a big one. We're very happy to announce it on this important day. Tonight, this beautiful evergreen tree glows bright on the dark and cold winter night and reminds us of the words of Gospel of John, "In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind." Beautiful words. With the birth of Jesus, human history turned from night to day. His word and his example call us to love one another, to serve one another, and to honor the sacred truth that every child is specially made in the image of God. For 250 years, think of it, our country is 250 years. This is a big year. I'm so happy that our presidency was delayed. Otherwise, I'd be sitting home watching television, not being invited. I would be extremely upset. And remember, we have not only the 250 years, but this is a big one. We have the World Cup and we have the Olympics coming up, all within this 4-year period. See, if they didn't rig the election, I would have been sitting, can you imagine? I wouldn't have any of them. And I probably wouldn't have been invited. I would have been very upset by that. But America has stood tall in part because millions of our citizens have heeded that call, and the faith and service of Christians have been essential parts of America's strength from the very, very beginning. Incredible. We love the Christians. We love all religions. And by the way, religion is coming back to the USA. You see that very strongly.
See what I mean about religion? I mean, like he says it as a positive thing. I don't know if it is a positive thing. I see what he's meaning. Like if you're talking about love God and love your neighbor as yourself, if you're talking about Christianity, which that's the prime tenet, that's what most Christians believe. I know there are doctrinal disputes. This is why I don't do the debates anymore. The debates are not fruitful unless two people are genuinely interested in debating. A lot of these intense debates, people just want to talk. They don't want to listen. So if that's what he's referring to, which that's kind of what his administration is pointing at, is bringing peace, loving God and loving your neighbor as yourself. But that's not true about all religions. Some religions cannot coexist with others. And to your point, Fury, I'm not trying to bash your point about coexistence. I think that it's detrimental to try and coexist with incompatible beliefs. So if like you're trying to oppress people and not love people, I think that was your point. More true to your point about the coexisting. So it's like light cannot coexist with darkness. That's not what I'm referring to here. To his point, when he says bringing religion back, that seems to be what is in Revelation here, you guys, I've been saying this for a while. We should probably go read it. So let's do Revelation. Oops. Revelation 13. So they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beasts. That's what I'm referring to when I say they worship the dragon. So the dragon, I almost wonder if that isn't religion. And by religion, I'm referring to there is truth and then there's everything else. Religion deals with more than just truth. And when it says that they worship the dragon who gave authority to the beast, I almost wonder if that's not referring to religion, because there's a reason why there's 40,000 different denominations. Is there's division within the house. When Christ comes back, all of those are going to be eliminated. There's only going to be truth again. We're going to know what is right and what is wrong. Which is why it's so important to just love God and love your neighbor as yourself and not fight within and hate one another. We don't want division. We want unity. So that's what I'm referring to when I'm saying that. So, because I've been trying to figure out, if the beast from the sea with 7 heads if the heads refer to nations and the 10 horns refer to positions of power. The head wound, it makes sense that the head wound would be one of the heads, what could be the United States, because Trump constantly says we were dead and now we're alive. I know there's people out there who want to say that Trump getting shot in the ear was the head wound and that he's the Antichrist. That doesn't fit with the overall picture. That fits with a false interpretation. I don't care if you think Jesus told you that. It's funny how those people who say that Jesus gave them information or that they have dreams get so many things wrong in the scripture that even like the majority of people believe. It's kind of like a red flag of like, why would Jesus tell you a lie? Why would Jesus say something contrary to what's in the scripture? You know what I mean? All right, we should move on. Let's get back over here. Nope. Yep.
So this Christmas season, let me say thank you to everyone who serves the needy and lifts up the communities inspired by faith. Thank you to the police, law enforcement officers, first responders, ICE, and Border Patrol agents who risk their lives every day to defend the innocent, protect the good, and keep the evil and danger at bay. And thank you to the men and women of the United States military, including the brave heroes of our National Guard here in Washington, D.C., where we've set a record for lack of crime in 28 years. So I just want to say we have a great place, and I want to pay my highest respects to those 2 great guardsmen. You know who I'm talking about. They paid, in one case, the ultimate, and the other. Andrew is getting better. Sarah, unfortunately, is watching from a high, watching from heaven. Her parents are so incredible, and Andrew is hopefully getting better. He got hit hard defending us, and I just want to pay my respects to them. 2 incredible people, unbelievable people. I spoke with the parents and met the parents today, the parents of Andrew, and they have spirit and they love our country so much you wouldn't believe. But as a nation, we have much to be grateful for. On this holiday season, our border is secure, our spirit is restored. Most secure border we've ever had in the history of our country. Right. 7 months, and nobody has...
Okay, he's getting into his normal. He's got his presidential talk where he's got to remind people of everything. So I thought that was pretty nice. I mean, that was pretty cool. Nice lighting of the tree. It was absolutely beautiful. I love how he gives God the credit. He acknowledges his son, Jesus Christ. He even got some scripture in there, which I think is pretty awesome. I want to keep emphasizing the point about the 2 witnesses to where there's very little said about the 2 witnesses, but there's a lot of assumption that we make about them. And we have to be careful with what we assume. You know, a lot of people are expecting the two witnesses to be Bible experts. That the prophecy for 1,260 days is going to be scripture or something phenomenal and ground shaking that's going to change the entire world. I just don't think that is logical. I don't think. I mean, it would be great if it was, but it's not written. It's not written that way in the scripture. It doesn't say that. People, I think, take it by the fact that it says my two witnesses, or these are the two, or yeah, I will give power to my two witnesses. That's very ambiguous. And so we have to be very careful what requirements we place on the two witnesses in looking for them. The reason why I personally chose Donald Trump and Elon Musk is because of the data surrounding everything. You know, that we started today's show with the timeline, with the opening of the seals. There's a lot of data backing that up. There's more than just what I showed you. There's 3 hours worth of data. I know because I've done several shows on the data, and it takes about 3 hours to go through all of it. And by and large, most people will acknowledge that we are in the end times, even if they don't have anything to base that on, just because they're not dumb. You know, they can feel the spiritual change. You know, some people are more interested in the details than others. I wish everybody was interested in the details. I wish everybody cared about the scripture as much as we do, but they don't. But that's okay. That's why Jesus made it really simple. What are you supposed to be doing until he returns? Just keep working. You know, you should be found doing when he returns. If that means going to church, feeding the homeless, smiling when you see people, and you know, doing what you can to improve the lives of others as well as yourself. You know, be a light in this world. Really, if you really want to distill it down, it's be a light in this dark world, and do that until he returns. If you want to know about the details, stick around. All right, let's move on. I think we should go to Elon Musk now and see what he's been up to. There were 2 breakthroughs today, or this week. Well, one's a breakthrough. It's not from Elon Musk, but it's something that I wanted to mention because it's a mighty shift. There was a massive breakthrough in quantum technology today. So, it was this week. This comes from Julia McCoy's channel. She did a video today that they have discovered a way to build a microchip that layers standard silicone for how we make our microchips today with a quantum compatible layer to where they can potentially get 25, I think she said, million qubits into a chip, which if they're able to actually produce this and use this is a very impressive feat. And it's one of the things that I've had an issue with the quantum computers, because people use quantum computers as something to be afraid of. And my big pushback on that is, you know, they've been lying about quantum computers for 20 years. Google back in like 1990 wrote a paper on some quantum breakthroughs that was a total forgery. I think it wasn't Google specifically, it was somebody at Google. And then they had since retracted that paper, and it's been basically like that for the last 20 years, to where people, you know, claim to have a breakthrough and it's really nothing. To where finally, after 20 some odd years, Google with Project Menagerie or whatever it's called, starts with an M, or Wilhelmina, maybe it's Wilhelmina. They do have a chip where they were able to keep a certain number of qubits alive, and the problem is once you measure them, they degrade. So they have a limit. It's like a battery; they have a limited use. But this breakthrough that Julia mentioned today has the potential to fix all of those problems. So there is a chance that we may get a massive, massive, massive boost in computing capability if this one turns out to be true. And I don't know what that means. I guess it would mean that like Optimus type robots could potentially be as intelligent as a human being. I don't know if they'll surpass our intelligence. I have a feeling. Here's my thoughts about quantum computers. People are afraid of them because they think that it's going to give this computer the superpowers. It's going to be able to break unbreakable encryption and stuff like that. I think our brains are quantum computers. That's my opinion. I think we're probably getting closer to understanding the tree of life and consciousness with these quantum developments than something to be afraid of. And that's further reinforced by the stuff that we're learning about Neuralink. I don't know if you guys want to watch it, but there was a video put out today from Neuralink where they go through and they describe, what they're capable of doing and what they're planning to do in the future. And all of it was just speaking to me that that they don't have a grasp on consciousness, that while they want to work towards a full whole brain interface, all the technology that we have right now is very limited. So it's limited to your motor skill, your hearing, and your visual cortex. That may change in the future, but I don't know if they'll be able to interface with the consciousness of who we are. It all seems to be limited to mechanical. Yeah. We haven't even tapped into 1/10 of the capacity of our brains. Yeah, and that's kind of my point, is like our brains are so much more powerful to where I have a feeling what we're learning now is going to unlock our capabilities. We're going to get back to the original intent of mankind. And I really think that's kind of what the next 1,000 years are going to be like with Yeshua. When he comes back and sets things, when we finally have a baseline of truth and can stop fighting amongst one another about who's right and who's wrong and just kind of in unison work towards things, then we'll really realize the full potential of mankind and what it's really like to actually be in the Garden of Eden. Yeah, that's true. All right, moving on. Let's get on with Elon Musk. Let's see. Let's move my picture back over there. Hit refresh because this is an hour old. All right. So this is that interview. If you haven't watched that, it's a good interview. If you want to kind of get an idea of Elon Musk's personality, I will say it's one of the harder ones to watch because it's kind of slow. It's a really good interview, but Nikhil Kemp Kamath is he's kind of a slower interview, and Elon kind of talks. You can tell Elon's tired, but it's a really good interview. I don't want to discourage you from that. All right, we'll skip the Grok stuff, skip the ads. Let's see. Rumors swirling that the EU Commission will fine X hundreds of millions of dollars for not engaging in censorship. The EU should be supporting free speech, not attacking American companies over garbage. Elon Musk says, much appreciated. So that's from J.D. Vance. So J.D. Vance wrote that. Rumor swirling that the EU Commission will fine X hundreds of millions of dollars for not engaging in censorship. See, this is one of the things that reinforces why I think he's probably one of the olive trees, is he is refusing to implement censorship, which is, to me, it's allowing that oil to flow. So we're in this period of time. We're in this gap of time where the church is allowed to shine. And that's what we should be doing. You should be shining as a light in this dark and perverse world. All right, just in, Swedish police have now released a new list of no-go zones. They have increased, and there is now a whopping 65 no-go zones in the country. Poor United Kingdom. Or Swedish police. Oh, that's the Swedish police. Yikes. They have been invaded, and it's getting worse. The cancer is growing. It seems like that in all the countries. It seems as though that immigration cancer has spread throughout the whole world, and the United States just happens to be lucky that we have somebody like Donald Trump to keep that at bay for a period of time. I don't think it's going to last. All signs point to it's only for a period of time. Even though everything that he says sounds good for a long-term future, if what we know, if we're right about the book of Revelation, it's not going to go in the way he's thinking. It's going to unfortunately, democracy is ultimately going to lose for a period of time while the beast from the land takes over and implements the mark of the beast. Is this an ad? No. So we were told, let's see, doctors admit to performing non-standard gender-affirming surgeries on youth, including castrations. Oh, that's heartbreaking. We were told this wasn't happening. In fact, we were called stochastic terrorist for reporting that it was happening. Okay. Vertigo of life. Yes, in my experience, Grok has the best impactometer. It finds the true key contributors without producing a really long list. Okay. Had my first long road trip experiencing version 14 over the past week. It drove 99.9% of all the miles for the whole trip. Holy smokes, it was good. Tesla full self-driving is pretty darn amazing. Agreed. Mayor of Rome tries Tesla full self-driving. Okay. We're just going to skip full self-driving stuff. Cybertruck feels like a spaceship. Yeah, I had an opportunity to drive one of the new Tesla Model X's this weekend because our truck was in service. Boy, I like our truck so much better. They've made the Model X smaller. It used to be that it was like a mid-size, kind of a van size of a car, which was kind of nicer. I imagine they probably put the Tesla Model Y and the Tesla X on the same size and frame, probably for manufacturing purposes, but I didn't like it one bit. I like a big truck. We have a farm. We grow poultry. We produce eggs and poultry, and we really need a truck. And I really appreciate the room in the truck. It just feels so much bigger, and it does feel like a spaceship. People look at you like it's a spaceship too. Good news is I don't get flipped off anymore. It's been like a week since anybody really got angry at me for driving a Tesla, so that's progress, right? See, today we're releasing the first tranche of the redacted grooming gang sentencing remarks, 5 of them from Rotherham dating back to 2016, available to read now at transcripts.openjusticeuk.org. Oh, war crimes. Huh. Yeah. What are you guys saying over here? Let's see. I believe tomorrow they will announce the AG winner. Let's see. If we could harness the aggression that people have towards each other and channel it into something productive, we could change our brains and our energy into something more powerful. In India, they've been able to train children to actually see without their eyes. And in some cultures, they can learn to communicate without speaking. We have abilities and can develop them, but we need a safe environment to cultivate such abilities. In there are innate abilities we have all been born with, but they are being suppressed because we have to use that energy for survival. Agreed. And I think it has to do with that quantum name. I really do believe our brains are quantum computers, and that there is some kind of quantum entanglement at a genetic level. I think that once we really begin to understand quantum entanglement and we can measure it, we'll find that we're all connected, and that's probably how telepathy and even revelation works. Like when somebody receives information, or when they think they're hearing voices, or when they're hearing from Jesus, that may be how God communicates with us. It could literally be at a quantum level. Yeah. All right. Grok is growing. Let's see. Must watch. Episode 2, The Founder's Gamble, How America Was Built on Virtue. How America was built on virtue and lost it. A must watch. Okay. Oh, it's an ad. I'm not going to watch it. It's an ad. These ads are so annoying. You know what I need to do for the show? I think I need to pay for the version of X that has 0 ads. I already pay for X, but apparently there's another level where you can actually completely bypass the ads. I think we need to do that. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that for tomorrow's show. Just because I'm so annoyed at these stupid ads that look like posts. I tell you though that if I'm going to advertise on X, I'm going to make it look like a post because it works. All right, review of Tesla full self-driving. Tesla's full self-driving is incredible. I said we were going to skip those from now on. Let's see. The more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. Tacitus. Yeah. Oh shoot, are we done? Nope. This was today. Make sure that you use the upscale. Okay, that's Grok. Humanity has so thoroughly banished hunger that as of this year, there are more obese kids than there are underweight. Huh. We've crossed the threshold of obesity. Alrighty then. Let's see, Matt Van Swol. We have no responsibility to serve as the world's repository for those who hate our country. Agreed. The first job of government is to protect its citizens. Everything else is secondary. That's the entire point of America First movement. Agreed. What is this?
But yeah, I mean, the biggest source of energy by far is the sun. So nothing even comes close to the sun in terms of energy output. The sun converts over 4 million tons of mass to energy per second, and it's been doing that for a very long time, and will do that for many, many billions of years to come. So one of the ways you can think of it, of the progress of any given civilization is on the Kardashev scale. And so just a simple way of thinking about it is you're Kardashev level 1 if you've harnessed all the power of a planet. You're 2 if you've harnessed all the power of a solar system. And you're 3 if you've harnessed the power of a galaxy. We're very far from 3, it's safe to say, but even from 1. So when you think in Kardashev terms, it becomes very obvious that the sun is overwhelmingly the source of energy, and everything else is tiny potatoes. Tiny, tiny, tiny potatoes. But hey, tiny potatoes are fine for now, but the sun is overwhelmingly the big potato, the humongous potato. So it's really harnessing the power of the sun that will lead us to the stars.
Wow. I don't think he's wrong. I mean, this is how Elon makes decisions: is he distills it down to the things that are obvious. He's very data driven, like me. In the same way that I distill down like what we've observed with what's happened and what's written in the scripture in order to understand what we should be looking for, to understand what is and what is not. He does the same thing. It's like if you want to and that's what's made him so successful, to cut through the noise, as he's able to work from a first principles perspective, to where you distill down to the most obvious answer and then iterate until you either prove or disprove your assumptions. But I think he's right. The sun is the biggest source of energy by far, and we should be investing in harnessing the power of the sun. Makes sense to me. Grok. Full self-driving. Oh boy, I got in trouble for all of the all the coverage that we did of Jensen in our show yesterday. Apparently, there is something called Super Bam, which is a bot that is employed by a lot of these really big shows like Joe Rogan and stuff like that will automatically do a copyright strike on your on a video if you're using their content. Well, I got to experience that for the first time yesterday because I covered so much of this interview with Jensen. You have the opportunity to dispute it and say that you're using it under fair use, which is what I did. But if you're wondering why the show from yesterday is not visible on the internet right now, it's because it's going through that process to prove that my use of that interview was fair use. I had no idea this was a thing on the internet, but apparently it is. So there you go. Now you know. That's an ad. See, 17 hours ago, Elon Musk on the potential of energy harnessing. As we progress along the Kardashev scale, energy harnessed on Earth will increase 100-fold and will mostly be solar, aka fusion, aka starlight. Then energy harnessed will increase perhaps 1,000,000,000-fold if we make it to Kardashev 2. With space solar power and another 1,000,000,000-fold if we harness the energy of our galaxy. What I'm saying is that there is a lot of upside potential. Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, Type 4, Type 5, Type 6. Interesting. I don't even know if these are possible. I think these, obviously, they're theoretical because we don't know anybody who's harvested all of the energy in a galaxy or of a sun or a universe. But I get what you're saying. If you're going to break down a scale like this, sure, it makes sense. Let's see. There is no form of punishment too strong for the perpetrators of these heinous crimes or the men and women who enable them. Agreed. What heinous crimes? Oh yeah, this is what I can't. I can't read this on YouTube. They'll mark the channel. But yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. This is talking about the rape gangs in Europe. Yep. The nation's call to adventure for lawyers. Write the next chapter of America. If you're a legal professional, join the Department of Justice as a deportation judge to preside over cases and determine whether an alien must stay or leave our nation. Cool. Let's see, God sad. I think that it's wrong to implement the precautionary principle when it comes to allowing 100 men to sleep in my children's bedroom. At most, a handful might be pedophiles. It would be wrong to marginalize all of the men only because a few might sodomize my children. I'm willing to risk my children because suicidal empathy. The West. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. He's highlighting suicidal empathy. So his point here is that there are people who pretty much argue to allow 100 as if, so it's a fictitious scenario. I'm sure there's actually some truth to it somewhere. But in this case, it's a fictitious scenario to where would you allow 100 men in the same bedroom with your children and under the pretense of empathy? Well, it's very likely that some of those men will be pedophiles, and you're just as guilty of evil and sin by allowing them and defending them. That's kind of what I think he's saying here and highlighting. Morgad Saad, explaining real Donald Trump Somalia as garbage comment. I conducted an analysis with the help of Grok on the Corruption Perceptions Index, which has ranked roughly 180 countries in terms of their endemic corruption starting in 1995. Would you like to guess where Somalia ranks? Huh.
Of stolen money, taxpayer money in Minnesota, largely from the Somali community. And Trump said, Ilhan Omar is a garbage person. Those are the words he used, and that Somalia is a garbage country. If you remember, in the past, he's used words like, this country is a shithole and so on. So before I specifically address this, the Somalia comment in terms of its substance, I just wanted to read for you something that I wrote earlier today. It's a long thread, so I'm going to read it for you, and I want you to think about it as I go through it. So here we go. In the parasitic mind, I explained that the aversion that people have toward Donald Trump stems from stylistic matters. I coined this as an aesthetic injury. For example, when he states that Ilhan Omar is garbage, the bien-pensants get offended at such language. If he states that Somalia is a garbage nation, people get offended and point to it being an instantiation of bigotry. Trump uses shortcut linguistic heuristics that at times exhibit, quote, lack of presidential decorum, close quote. But the content of what he says might be nonetheless accurate. Let us take his evaluation of Somalia. As a professor, I could phrase his, quote, garbage comment as follows, quote, this is if I am presenting the information on Somalia. Somalia is a country wherein personal liberties do not flourish. Its GDP is astoundingly low. It is ruled by religious fervor that does not permit individuals to practice their freedom of conscience. Women do not have the freedom to dress as they see fit. Governmental institutions do not work optimally. Corruption is endemic, and I'm going to come back to this and I'm going to give you an analysis. Tribal warlords have ruined the country. Homosexuals cannot live out their lives in peace. Atheists cannot proclaim their lack of belief openly. Many women are subjected to female genital mutilation. Somali society has internalized a set of values that are incongruent with Western liberties, close quotes. So the long quote that I just gave you would be me trying to offer a professorial explanation for why Somalia might not be the model society that we each aspire to emulate. Donald Trump speaks, not that I'm verbose, right? If I'm asked as a professor to offer justifications for why Somalia is useless, I might offer this. Donald Trump just cuts through it and just says garbage.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go on. I'm going to keep reading for a bit. I could have continued for another 2,000 words to explain why Somalia does not score very high on any global metric of optimal flourishing. But Trump cuts through those professional details and summarizes it in one word. Garbage. I understand that it might be wise to use less, quote, offensive words, but the gist of what he is saying is veridical. I offer the following challenge to the people who are offended, especially the Western progressives. I will personally raise the funds to send you on a fun vacation to Mogadishu, but you have to wear the following t-shirt conspicuously for one day. Quote, Islam is false. I'm a gay Jew. Give me a hug. Close quote. Let us know how it turns out. In the United States, you could wear such a t-shirt and live. In Somalia, you can't. Hence his term. Okay, so that's what I mentioned earlier today. But now, as I've often explained to you guys, whenever you're taking a position on something, do your homework. Build the nomological network of cumulative evidence, if you can, that makes your position unassailable. Drown your...
That's pretty good. I'd love to listen to it, but it's 20 minutes long, and I'd like to get through the rest of Elon's post because we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. So I may actually go back and listen to that. Recommend that you do too, because it sounded like a pretty good explanation of how Trump distills his language down. And I would argue why the fire from his mouth sounds like garbage. It's using words like garbage. All right. Grok Imagine can bring to life any photo. Long press it on X. Okay. Yep. See, Indiana. Let's see. Indiana moves to impeach rogue judges and prosecutors. Finally, real teeth for public safety. Has to be done nationwide. Agreed. Indiana Rep. Andrew Ireland filed a proposed constitutional amendment to let the state legislature impeach judges and prosecutors who go soft on violent offenders. Repeat killers or rapists get slaps on the wrist, and now lawmakers could boot the enablers out the door. The push, it's aimed square at spots like Marion County, where critics say DA Ryan Mears has let folks with rap sheets like the Indigo bus arsonist walk free, spiking fear in neighborhoods. Ireland's bill would expand impeachment beyond just high crimes to straight-up failure to enforce laws that protect innocent, needing approval in 2 legislative sessions before hitting voters. This is the accountability people have been screaming for. Soft on crime bench warmers hide behind discretion, but when their leniency endangers families, it's not justice, it's negligence. I agree. The U.S. would be in the vanguard of this movement. It's due to It's due to time to boot them. Replace them with tough enforcers who prioritize victims over perps. Indiana's leading the charge. Time for every state to follow and make courts serve the people, not coddle chaos. Yeah, good for them. Yeah, Grok 5. Oh, let's see, what is this? Grok 5 training of the supercomputer Colossus 2, which is the largest and most powerful AI supercluster in the world. What is this? U.S. officials blast UK's Online Safety Act, a deal breaker for American free speech. What is this?
Add one more thing on the Online Safety Act, and I emphasized this earlier, but I want to say it again. It's misguided and unfortunate to apply that law in Britain, but applying that law extraterritorially, which means applying it to speech that has nothing to do with Britain, does not occur in Britain, is on American platforms by American users on American political issues, purporting to censor Americans in America is a deal breaker. It is a non-starter. It is a red line. And that's what Ofcom has tried to do with the Online Safety Act, and that's one reason the American government is concerned.
Okay, but will your government then take legal action against Ofcom if they try and overreach in the way you've described?
Well, there's already formal action proposed. There is a bill before the House called the Granite Act that would amend an existing statute to clarify that as a matter of American public policy, any penalties imposed by Ofcom are unenforceable against American companies. So our legislature will likely consider that, and will certainly consider other options if indeed the British government insists upon trying to nullify the First Amendment on American soil with respect to American companies.
It's a big no-no. Let's see, Grok. Let's see, a list of dictators who abolished jury trials. Across history, from Mussolini and Hitler to Franco, Mano, Pol Pot, Omnin, and Saddam, tyrants have rushed to kill jury trial rights. Now in 2025, the UK risks joining a grim roll call. Vladimir Lenin, Mussolini, Hitler, Franco.
Yes, if civilization continues, which it probably will, then AI in space is inevitable. I always have to preface that. We shouldn't take civilization for granted. We need to make sure to take care to ensure that civilization has an upward arc. I mean, any student of history knows that civilization does not always have an upward arc, and in fact, civilizations have life cycles. So hopefully, we are in a strong upward arc. I think we are for now, but we don't want to take that for granted or be complacent. But the way to think of AI in space is that in order to achieve any meaningful percentage of a Kardashev 2 scale civilization, where you're using even a millionth of the sun's energy, you must have solar powered AI satellites in deep space. So that once you think in terms of a Kardashev 2 scale civilization, which is what percentage of the sun's energy are you turning into useful work, then it becomes obvious that space is overwhelmingly what matters.
Yeah, that seems to be a topic lately, the Kardashev scale. All right, Elon Musk says Starlink is ready to serve India and is now waiting for final government approval. He asked for public support and earlier said he'll do this best to serve the people of India with Starlink. Cool. Grok, NVIDIA CEO.
These AI supercomputers are complicated things. Yeah. The technology is complicated. Procuring it is complicated because of financing issues. Securing the land power and shell powering it is complicated. Building it all, bringing it all up. I mean, this is unquestionably the most complex systems problem humanity has ever endeavored.
Oh, this is good.
And so Elon has a great advantage that in his head, all of these systems are interoperating. And the interdependencies resides in one head, including the financing.
Yes.
And so
he's a big GPT.
Yeah.
He's a big supercomputer himself.
He's the ultimate GPU. Yeah. And so he has a great advantage there.
Yeah.
And he has a great sense of urgency. He has a real desire to build it. And so when will comes together with skill, unbelievable things can happen.
I don't think I've seen that interview. I'm going to have to go track that down and watch the whole thing. Let's see. Elon Musk recently shared some of his latest media recommendations in an interview. Podcasts, Explorer podcast.
This hardcore history, which is quite good, was by Dan Collin. He's got
I've read it. I've heard it.
It's very. He's got a great voice.
Yeah.
And very compelling narrator. There's
this is from the interview.
The Adventurers podcast. There's the books, The Story of Civilization by Durant, which is a long series of books, very, very deep. Those books take a long time to get through. There's a lot out there. I sort of like, if you want something that's sort of gentle, a gentle bedtime podcast, I'd say The History of English is quite a nice one, because it starts off with like gentle tavern music and a very pleasant voice, and he's like talking about the story of Old English and then Middle English and then later English and and where did all these words come from? And one of the interesting things about English is that it's somewhat of an open source language. Like it actively tried to incorporate words.
So this is from the interview that he pinned to the top of his thread. I remember watching this. I don't remember him making these recommendations. Now I want to go check out these podcasts. The History of English. Maybe I'll listen to that going to sleep. Let's see. X, full self-driving. NVIDIA CEO Jensen first talked to Elon, asked for his chips. I think we watched that yesterday. Yep. I think we are... Wait, these are November... because they want to commit voting fraud. It says 19 hours ago, the evolution of SpaceX Raptor engines. Maybe we didn't watch this one. Let's see what this one's about. No, we did watch this one. I know we watched this one. Yeah, so this is from December 3rd. He reposted it. All right, let's keep going, see if we can get the end here. I'm sure there's a couple more in here. I got a couple other videos I want to get to, so... on 3i Atlas and Suspicious Observers. See, making your life easier in so many ways. Cybertruck is an incredible vehicle. Our best ever from Tesla. I do love the Cybertruck. The entire world needs to know what has happened to Britain. They need to know how politicians covered it up. They need to know how police covered it up. They need to know how it is still happening for the sake of those girls, and girls still being abused now. I plead, please share this. Share it with your presidents, prime ministers, the UN. They are torturing and raping our girls. Something has to happen. Please help, because our government is refusing to. Yeah, so this is what I can't read. Elon says, yes, something has to be done. Joe Rogan using his platform to raise awareness. Minnesota Democrats are rigging their elections. Oh, we didn't see this, did we?
That just happened a couple of days ago.
Find it.
Yeah, I'll find it.
I'll check on Twitter.
Illegal.
I have to say, I find it very hard to believe.
Me too, but not, because I think that what I was getting at is a lot of the reason for wanting an open border is congressional seats. Because one of the things about when you do a census, it doesn't count how many people are citizens, it counts how many people. And so you can get extra congressional seats if you have more illegal immigrants in your city. And you have much more political power that way.
But why do you get more seats if they can't vote?
It's just how it works. It's just how it's the way our census is set up. So the way a census is set up, it's just counting people. It's not counting people that are legally here.
Oh, the census. Okay.
Yes. So the census is how they dictate the amount of congressional seats.
Here's what was going around Twitter.
Okay, Minnesota elections confirms non-citizens can vote with driver's licenses. October 14, 25. This is it. State hearing, Minnesota Director Elections Paul Linnell testified that non-citizens holding driver's licenses under the 2023 Driver's Licenses for All law can register to vote and cast ballots by affirming eligibility, as the ID verifies identity but not citizenship. Secretary of State Steve Simone.
That's actually from an older interview. I remember that one. I think. Minnesota Director Paul Linnell testifies non-citizens holding driver's license under 2023 driver's licenses for all law can register to vote and cast ballots by affirming of eligibility, as the ID verifies identity but not citizenship. Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon announcement. Joe Rogan also says Democrats are rigging our congressional seats because illegals are counted in the census. Jensen Huang, President Trump is my president. He is our president. We should all realize that we want him to see this. Yeah, that's a good point.
And we started out today talking about President Trump, and I was about to say something. And listen, he is my president. He is our president. We should all, and we're talking about just because it's President Trump, we all want him to be wrong. I think the United States, we all have to realize he is our president. We want him to succeed because
no matter who's president,
that's
we should
right.
have that attitude.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
We want him to succeed. We need to help him succeed because it helps everybody, all of us succeed.
Yeah.
And we started out today.
That's true. That's true for any president, even if you don't agree with them, is you want them to succeed. SpaceX launches by year. Woo, getting a lot of them. Raptor 3 Ascent Run. Illegals don't use benefits. How dare Trump take their benefits? Narrative shift complete. 2024. How dare them? They don't use benefits. How dare them take their benefits? Yeah. Can't let this happen here. UK is a police state. The UK is a police state. I think if you aspire to do work, your probability of success is much higher. Don't aspire to glory. Aspire to work. Yep. It's an ad. Starlink. The men are just 2 of the 6,000. I think we read that yesterday. I think we watched that yesterday. Definitely read that. Okay, we are definitely at the end of his posts. Now, let's switch to covering 3i Atlas. I got a couple of interesting videos to. We're not going to watch the whole videos because they're long, but we will we'll start these things because they're very interesting.
Satellite operators.
Oops.
And then within only 48 hours, the U.S. Space Force completed a theoretical threat. So listen to this, guys. The ESA, that's this post before we begin with the video. Space and Technology has posted this. The world is beginning the largest planetary defense drill ever conducted, built around tracking the interstellar object, our friend 3i Atlas. Interstellar object, comet, spacecraft, space junk, or whatever the heck it is, as I always say. So they further say nearly every major space agency is participating under the UN's planetary defense system to monitor this interstellar visitor. And
you know what's interesting is the fact that this is actually happening. Number one, I didn't know we had an interstellar defense, coordinated global defense. I had no idea we had this. Why do we have this? But apparently it's being activated and pointed at 3i Atlas. So this and a lot of the people that I know for a fact are false prophets, they've been warning that there was going to be a fake alien invasion and that it was part of the deception. I almost wonder, because you know how we've been talking, people have been you guys have asked me what I think of 3i Atlas, and I said it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't Jesus on a spaceship. That's because it says Jesus comes in the clouds, right? And you know, does that mean does he show up in a huge body? Does it show up? Is he going to float up in the clouds, or is he going to be in a vehicle in the clouds? It would not surprise me if, you know, the demons, the devil spirits, the rulers of the darkness of this world don't know that he's coming back, and that might be how he's going to come back. That might be why the false prophets are making these claims. Don't be tricked by aliens. And why is this global defense activated? I think this is all very interesting and so much fun to watch.
And if you follow my channel, guys, you have seen all these anomalies. We have 14 anomalies with interstellar
15
object,
today.
3i Atlas. And just my last video, is this an ice volcano? Is this whole thing a volcano with several eruptions that are shooting cryovolcanic eruptions into the sky. It's crazy. Watch that video in the end screen, by the way. And please give this video an early like and hype to shoot it out into space to support.
All right, so we're not going to watch this whole video. I just wanted to show you that it's being reported, and I've seen this in multiple places, that apparently there's a secret coordinated global defense pointed at 3i Atlas. And then this is the other one. So this is the 15th phenomenon that she reported on.
Guys, I think I have to talk to you about anomaly number 15 with our interstellar object 3i Atlas. Object, comet, spaceship, space junk, or whatever the heck it is. That's what I always say. Something strange, guys, just happened in space. Scientists pointed an X-ray telescope at the interstellar object 3i Atlas, and they found something, guys. They found the new anomaly. They found a glow of X-rays around it. This is something we have never seen before from an object that came from another star system. Boof, there it is. Another one. Let me explain in simple words what that could mean. And I promise, even if you hate physics, you will get this. First of all, what telescope has found this? Japan. Japan has a brand new space telescope that is called XRISM. We pronounce it like prism with an X. So prism looks at space and it uses X-rays. X-rays are just basically very energetic light that they're sending out in space. And yes, it's the same type of radiation that is used in hospitals to see if your bone is broken, for example. So that telescope has watched interstellar object 3i Atlas for 2 whole days. And they have removed all the noise that could tamper with the results. Basically all the static in the signal. And guys, what stayed behind has shocked scientists. Has shocked them again. A faint X-ray cloud around 3i Atlas, around the object. Like a tiny ghostly glow. And guys, maybe you have seen it in my previous video. All around the world, the space agencies are all of a sudden testing planetary defense and having exercises. Watch my last video, and guys, watch my playlist about interstellar object 3i Atlas, where you see all the other anomalies. It's really, really crazy right now. And if you can, please hype and like this video, share it with your friends to support my channel. I would be very, very grateful for that, guys. So a faint X-ray cloud around interstellar object 3i Atlas. Every day I have to talk to you and say, guys, this is really not, I can't help it, guys. This is the news that we're getting. Tiny ghostly glow, another mystery. But that's not all, guys. How big is this glow? Scientists say the glow is 5 arc minutes wide. And here's what that means in simple words. So a full circle that's 360 degrees. 1 degree is 60 arc minutes. 1 degree. And now we only have 5 arc minutes. The glow is 5 arc minutes wide. So an arc minute is a very small slice of the sky. To picture it, your pinky finger held at arm's length covers about 1 degree. So now divide that into 60 pieces. And one of those pieces is an arc minute. And we have 5. The glow around 3i Atlas is 5 of those pieces. And that's big, guys. That's big.
I didn't really follow
for such a tiny object.
Okay.
In space, 3i Atlas is considered tiny. How this looked, what they saw is 3i Atlas looks like a faint bubble in X-rays. And it has a weird part. I mean, yeah, this was already the weird part, but guys, it gets weirder. Inside this glow, scientists saw 2 signals, tiny spikes, at 0.4 keV and 0.6 keV. Again, let me explain this in simple terms. EV is electron volt. It's a tiny, tiny unit of energy. keV is 1,000 electron volts. Kilo. X-rays usually range from 0.1 keV to 10 keV. 0.4 keV and 0.6 keV, they're very soft, gentle X-rays. This means the glow is weak, but it is real. It is real. Scientists can take information from that. These numbers tell scientists what kinds of atoms are involved. It's like fingerprints. Fingerprints of 3I Atlas. And listen to that. These fingerprints did not match the background sky. So where are they coming from? What could cause these X-rays? I told you it's getting better. I hope you're still with me, and I hope you have liked and hyped. Here's the super simple version. Scientists think the glow comes from something that's called charge exchange. So we know that the sun constantly blows out particles that we call the solar wind. The comet, or whatever the heck it is, 3I Atlas, releases gas. So when the solar winds hit this gas, it steals an electron. And when that happens, the atom gives off a tiny swift of an X-ray light.
All right. I don't think we really need to know all the details. If you're interested, you can go watch her channel. It is On the Pulse with Silky. Maybe I'll put the links to these videos in the description when I change it over for tomorrow. We've got one more video that I want to show you. I haven't shown one from Suspicious Observers in a while, but I think you guys will appreciate this. He just posted this. Oops, I clicked
All right, folks.
So this is in regards to seal number 6. A lot of what he talks about with Suspicious Observers seems to be associated with seal number 6.
All right, folks. Earlier today, I recorded a little something right after the morning show. Kids were still sleeping. It was dark outside. I posted it on X. There was a considerable amount of people who just really did not get what was going on at all. And it was completely their fault for being lazy. But as always, I'm going to go ahead and remedy that. So first, here's the video that we posted this morning.
All right, I have to be a little quiet because my children are still asleep. But I also had to... I don't know what the hell this is, but do you understand what's happening when we get a story like the top story in the morning news today about them spotting the galactic magnetic reversal and it's local? Do you understand what it's like? What was that, like a week or two ago? Geodesy breaking down? This isn't like, oh, like we're changing atmospheric chemistry. We're talking about the solid Earth changing known patterns that have stood the test of geologic time. What? We're so close. We're like one more big auroral event away from a whole heck of a lot of people being like, okay, wait a minute. I've been on this planet a while. Not used to seeing this. We're so close. And the scientists are already there. It was about 2 or 3 years ago. I sent you guys the video message from a whole bunch of my friends who need to remain in the shadows because they're the ones with access to information. It's where we get so much of the hints about where to look for stuff. And it's good to be the nexus, but if the network breaks, there is no nexus. You guys might remember I told you that they were saying that they are all getting ready to start dripping this information because they figured out as long as you don't just give away the whole bag in one paper, if you don't try to just tear it all down with one swing, you can let the drops accumulate, and they're accumulating very quickly, and there's about to be a complete shift of I don't know if the Overton window is the right way to put it, because I think that that's more in terms of like what's politically okay to talk about. But whatever the version of the Overton window is in terms of science and culture and mainstream discussions, even people talking to each other. I don't know if you guys saw the post, but pretty much every AI, when prompted neutrally, will suggest that whatever the Overton window of the rest of worldly discourse is, it is moving in this direction, and there's about to be a cliff that it's going to fall off of. Be ready for that. So, the criticisms were coming from people who follow, not them, but they were reposting, retweeting, sharing, etc. And then people who had never seen this stuff before, didn't know what I was talking about, maybe didn't even know who I was, were listening to that couple of minutes there and being like, you didn't say anything. And of course, if you are an observer, if you watch this channel, you know I kind of said quite a bit, didn't I?
Said a lot. I understood completely.
It's not unlike the story about the Airbus A320s and the solar.
So the Bible talks about fear coming on the whole world. Fear because of the things that are coming on the whole world. We're getting closer to the recognition of seal number 6, God's wrath on the earth. And that's what he's talking about scientifically.
Radiation, which is something I said to start watching for. Although I have to admit, I guessed, and many of you will probably remember this, my guess was that at the start they would come up with some non-sun related excuse. I didn't think they were just going to come right out and tell us the truth right off the bat. And that it was going to be the exact thing we thought it was going to be. It was going to be the particles flipping bits in the computers, those bit flips. And of course, the particles are cosmic rays. You could just Google cosmic rays bit flip. You can learn everything in the world you'd ever want to know, and much, much more than you ever wanted to know, in about an hour or two. And it doesn't matter if it's these changes in the solid earth. It doesn't matter if it's these auroras going nuts. It doesn't matter if the news stories and the issues with the airlines and the weather and the other things, the major network glitches and the power systems, like what happened earlier this year in Spain and Portugal and France with the power systems going down simply because there was a pulse of solar energy that came in through a weak spot on Earth's magnetic field. We're so close. With these enormous sunspots on the sun right now, we might just be a couple of days away from the next major auroral event. Hopefully it's not too bad, but think about that.
So up here on the screen, I have the what he's referring to about the cosmic ray bit flip is an error caused by a cosmic ray, high energy particle from space, striking a computer chip and changing its binary bit from 0 to 1 or vice versa. These soft errors are a concern in electronics, particularly with smaller, more efficient chips, and can lead to malfunctions in systems like airplanes, medical devices, and computers. They are more frequent at higher altitudes and can be mitigated with error correction. Anyway, that's one of the things he's referring to.
If this sunspot that is on there right now, it's still got about 4 or 5 days to flare and send something our way. If it does that,
it's big.
There is no doubt that we're going to get some significant auroras. If people see auroras again, there's going to start to be that, wait a minute. Whoa.
So the reason why the auroras are a big deal is he's explained this before. Tim Pool has covered it a lot in the last couple of weeks. Typically, we get I think it's 5 auroras over 100 years. We've had 5 auroras in the last year. So it's starting to get people's attention. Don't quote me on the statistics and numbers. It's something like that. It's maybe it's 5 auroras in the last 5 years or 10 years or something like that. But you get the point. It's increasing. They're getting attention.
Whoa. This has never happened before. What's going on? And it is at that point when the friends who didn't listen to you before are going to start to remember, hey, wait a minute, he was talking about this. You're going to be in a perfect position, not only to be really helpful to the people you care about, but if I'm being perfectly honest, you're in a perfect position to tell them, okay, I'm so glad you're here now. This is the guy you listen to. And then you and I'll talk about it.
I have no interest in major marketing campaigns or anything like that. I would love it if more people woke up organically the right way. You're about to be in a position to do that as soon as the sun says so. See you in the morning for the Daily Show. Be safe, everyone.
Yeah, so what his channel says, and I think he's probably a big part.
Look at that! So pretty.
The other day, my son.
Yikes. All right. Yeah, so one of the big things that Ben Davidson from Suspicious Observers and Space Weather News on X, one of his primary topics is the magnetic pole shift, the weakening of the shields around the Earth, and the effects the sun the increasing effects the sun has on the planet. So a lot of scary stuff. And you can see he's almost got 1 million subscribers just on YouTube. He's becoming more mainstream. This information is becoming more and more readily available. He's been going on more and more podcasts and shows. So once people start to see these things and start to realize to where there is a general public recognition of the things that are coming on the earth, and all of this stuff was given to us and told us was going to happen by Jesus in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21, and a lot of other places. Prophets of old prophesied about these things coming on the earth, but these are the signs that he is coming soon, that he is going to return. So we're coming into this point where the wrath of God is starting to be visible. And when I say wrath of God, I mean the earth is going to rotate to where the North Pole is going to rotate down to the equator. You can imagine what effect that's going to have on the planet. The shields around the earth are being weakened right now to where solar radiation is hitting the earth more than it's ever hit before. That's why you're seeing an increase in volcanic activity. You're seeing an increase in storms. The weather is changing. And what he was just talking about now, the auroras. The fact that you can see the auroras, that's the ionization of the rays in the shields around the earth. Well, they're coming down further and further to where they're visible from places they're not normally visible for. These things are getting people's attention, and as it becomes more and more public, common knowledge of what it means, there's going to be a fear coming on the whole world, and that's going to accelerate and shift the way things are happening right now. Donald Trump and Elon Musk and leaders, they're trying to bring world peace. They're not focused on the things that are coming on the world yet. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. I don't know if the two witnesses know they're the two witnesses. But it's going to have an effect on the world. People are going to start getting afraid, and there's going to be more and more changes. Things are going to accelerate, and we don't have to be afraid. We're children of light. We know about these things. These things are happening. Jesus told us about these things so that when they happen, we will believe. And that's the whole point. We don't need to be afraid. This is not something to be afraid of. As the world gets more and more afraid of these things, and that's what Ben's talking about, science is starting to drip. The people who are in the know of what's coming on the world, they're starting to leak that information. They're starting to let people know of what's going to happen rather than all at once. It's starting to become more public common knowledge. And as that does, that's why you've got the kings and the men of renown going into the mountains, digging holes, because they see God's wrath. And we know that it's God's wrath. We know that it's the wrath of the Lamb. We know that it's the bowl judgments. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to be here. We're not going to go through it. And if we are here and we do go through it, I believe that God has positioned us in places to where we'll overcome. So if there is no actual rapture event to where we get on a Noah's Ark or anything like that, well, that's why Ben Davidson has moved to Colorado. If you follow his channel, he shows you where the safe places are when these things start to happen. That could also explain some of the immigration stuff, why people are coming into America. Maybe at a spiritual level, maybe the demons know where they need to go to be safe, and that's why they're bringing people into America, because pretty much the west coast of America is one of the safe places to be. So it's no wonder why so many of the illegal immigrants and illegal aliens coming into the country are going into the mountains. So there you go. The Bible is coming to life. It is so exciting to see these things come to pass. It's such a privilege to live during this day and age, to see the prophecy written so many years ago, thousands of years, written and spoken through the centuries and the millennia, coming to pass now. And it's exciting. It's the most exciting thing that it's the most exciting privilege. It's the greatest thing that any of us could ever ask for. It is a gift to be aware of these things and to know these things and watch them happen in real time. I know I'm thankful to God to be privileged to communicate these things, to recognize these things and acknowledge him and give the glory to him. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about tomorrow and the day after that. And I can't wait until our redemption is complete. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys. Have a good night. Shalom, shalom. We'll see you tomorrow. Make sure if you like this content, hit that like button, subscribe to the show if you haven't already, and comment if you have any questions or concerns you want to talk about in the channel. Love you guys. Shalom, shalom.